Well, another beautiful day. Might be a good day to learn about painting, all the wonderful things you can do with brushes and paints. Let's see if old Uncle Mike will help us out today. And that's you. You want to see the whole setup? Good morning, Painter in Residence here. I'm Francis McCarthy, and we're going to talk about composition today. We've got the 5 core concepts of composition. I like to break these up into the 5 pillars, the 5 principles. I tell you what, the AI loves to call everything the pillars. I'm like, no, we did pillars. What I do is basically feed it my, I've written a pretty good chapter on composition for my new book. So I said, well, I want to turn this into a talk. You got any ideas? And then it's just an outline because it's all up here. You know, it's good. That's what I think that AI is good for. Good for helping you do more, not for replacing what it is you do. Okay, so the 5 core concepts. First, number 1. Okay, now first of all, let's just talk about composition because you've heard me talk about it a lot. And what sparked this was we've been doing all this limited palette stuff on the channel, and that's as a response to people, you know, coming to me and telling me, oh yeah, color, I don't understand color. How you mixing that color, Mike? How you doing that? Well, that's why the limited palette, because the limited palette strips away the complexity and leaves you with the basic, just the basics, and you can build from that, right? First principles, that's what I'm trying to remember. First principles, my dear student. Anyway, as I was talking about that, I says, you know, this color thing is actually pretty easy. It's not that hard once you know how to approach it, and if you go with the limited palette thing, you'll have a handle on it in no time. What's tough is composition, and that's what was sort of banging around in my head, and so I thought I'd make this week's talk about composition. But I could go on about composition at length. You could write whole books about composition. And that gets into the other thing I want to say, which is it's very hard to teach composition. Now, one thing I did think, and I've had to do this talk a couple times, I have had technical issues plaguing me on this Easel Talk, and so far it's been an effortless ride up to now. What did I get? Oh, I see. It's my hat. You like my hat? This is a bald guy hat. Yeah, we just had so many technical problems. But I'm determined to get this done. But one thing I thought is like, okay, the last time I did this talk, I was saying, yeah, just get the, oh, we don't even have that. I'll just hold this. How about that? Yeah, I forgot to hook this up. There we go. I'm going to do this just like last time I promised I was going to. Maybe we'll just put this down here. Is that going to work? It should be turnable. That would be awesome. There we go. That shouldn't be bothering anybody. Can you even see it? No, it's right down there. Hey. That's good. Okay, so I was flashing this around. Hey, look, this doesn't cost much. I mean, God knows everything's costing money these days. This is a little thin, but I think it'll work. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to do what I told you to do, which is lay some house paint on this. I'm going to grab a few scenes that I think of potential challenges, and just do some little compositional sketches for you, just to get you, oriented. That's what I'm going to do. It'd be my pleasure. Anyway, back into the talk. Yeah. So, let's talk about these concepts. I really don't like rules because there's only one rule in composition and that can't be broken, and we'll get to that at the end. That's some good videography there, eh? That's some good. Yeah, we're keeping you here till the very end. Okay. First core concept: establish your place of interest. You want one central focal area. I don't like the word focal point, although you'll hear me use it. Focal area is what you want to do. Yeah. So you've got different masses of trees, or maybe you're painting a scene. It's got a waterfall, it's got some trees, it's got a pond, it's got a path, it's got people, it's got all this stuff. You want to decide which. Maybe it's the waterfall. If that's the focal thing, then there's ways that you're going to put the attention there. And the number one way is with the composition. It needs to be given precedence over other elements in the painting. And of course, you can follow that up with contrast, value, detail, all those other things to back that up. That's 5 other talks. So we'll just keep moving. Yeah, dividing people's attention will just ruin your painting for people. You got to be careful because we're all trained to be real nice, especially in the Western world. We're polite here, and people won't give you honest feedback on your paintings. So you need to be that person. And the number one way I think to kill a painting is to have subject here, subject there, subject there, subject there. Too many things going on with the painting. Yeah. So that will be a definite painting killer. Yeah, so the eye, you need to respect the human eye, and it needs some place to head in the painting. It's like, why should I be looking at this? Why? Okay, we're going to connect to my big shapes philosophy, but we're not going to go up into because big shapes and composition broke it up for the new book. There's a whole chapter called Big Shapes. But suffice to say, composition is the act of designing your picture. The first thing you should do, and we'll get into this when we do some of these little studies later in the week. The first thing you should do is decide, first of all, what is the focal bit. What the heck? No, I don't need water right now. And aren't you glad? And then you need to divide your picture up, and think of it in terms of like stained glass is a great way to think of it. You know, the sky is one mass, this bunch of trees is another mass, this bunch of trees is another mass, ground plane, lake or pond or path. You get what I'm saying? So it's the arrangement of those big shapes that determine the composition, really determines the composition's success. Yeah. Okay, yeah, oh, yeah, we're going along great. Master the art of division. So as you're dividing the picture plane, and I had this up, as you're dividing, this is a rectangle. You don't want things to be too even. You want to make sure that, but they need to be balanced. So definitely a balance needs to be struck there between everything being too balanced. It's very much like music, actually. That's a great analogy, because with music, if that chord progression just plods along and is extremely predictable, nobody's going to care about it. It's not that interesting. Every now and again, pardon me, you got to bring in some other element and then reconcile it. Yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Yeah. Horizon line placement is very critical. Now, for landscape painting, unless you're doing cityscapes, which is technically still landscape painting, you want to you want to have some perspective because it's a factor, but it's a lot more relaxed. Who can tell if a tree is drawn exactly right or in perspective? It's a tree. It's an organic form, and frankly, I don't really love perspective much. I've learned it. I've used it. I've taught it, at least in its basic form. But I would never get too extensive with it because I don't really enjoy it. But that horizon, if it's right in the middle, generally that's a bad plan. And this is one of those do as I say, not as I do, because I love putting it in the middle. But that's a rule I'm breaking. And when you break a rule, you need to know what you're doing. It needs to be balanced. You can't just go breaking rules and thinking everything's going to be fine. You have to reconcile things. Everything has got to... Oh, we're going to have that coming up, so I won't get too far ahead. Yeah, that's my personal rule breaking with centered horizons. Now, you may have noticed the horizon has a huge impact on the psychological feeling of the painting. So, paintings with a lot of tonalist paintings, like Francis Murphy comes to mind, have very high horizons. Oh, you can use like you'd have the whole scene down here and a bit of sky up there. And then the Dutch guys, they do the same sort of landscape, maybe a tonal landscape, but super low horizons with the giant sky. So, and I think it's good. Now, you might decide that, I want to be the low horizon painter or the high horizon painter. I've done both. I tend not to get too far into the extremes there, but it's interesting to play with for sure. Okay, so that was 2. That was master the art of division. Number 3. Respect the viewer's mind. The human mind can only receive and appreciate one impression at a time. So, now there's another new chapter in the book. It's a follow-on chapter to my George Inness chapter. I'm a big fan, as you probably know. You may not know. But, just go to my playlist there on my channel. You'll see a giant playlist of all the studies I've done after George Inness, because I think George Inness is maybe the greatest painter. Technically, you have people like even Shishkin and stuff who are, technically superior. But when you're talking just meat and potatoes, moving people, no one can touch Inness. And that's, at the end of the day, what I think the purpose of landscape painting is. It's to create a scene that's somewhat moving, that you had an emotional response to it. As I mentioned in last week's Easel Talk, it's like when we look at a beautiful painting, we something in us responds. It's like an echo. It's like, I want to do that too. I want to do that. And that's why you're probably here. And I can help you. I'm going to help you. And you know what? You can do it. That's the other thing. I always want to point that out in these Easel Talks, because when you're getting my regular 15-minute videos, I'm just talking about what's going on. I'm trying to get you to join my Substack Studio Pass, which you should do. Or you could actually, there's a thank you button down there. Throw me some money for some instant coffee. The best way to support me, I think, we're new on it, so I haven't seen a check or anything yet, but you can tell I'm old. Write me a check. But is my supply list. It's underneath the videos, so you click on there. And one thing I'm going to put on there, I kept thinking about that too, is a pack of MDF. You could just do some little MDF paintings too, little 5x7s. Anyway, let's get back on track, Mike. Respect the viewer's mind. So we can only receive one impression at a time, and that's why I went off into the tangent of the George Inness, because I have a follow-on chapter to my George Inness chapter called the Inness Viewfinder, where he talks about basically cutting a hole in a piece of paper and holding that, and anything you can apprehend through that hole will be an impression that comes in all at once. Whereas if you get too vista-centric, say like the Hudson River guys, that's a scan and pan. Now, you younger folks probably don't know what scan and pan is, but back in the old days when they were going to put a movie, a widescreen movie on our little TVs we had back then, what they would do is move the camera around inside what was filmed, because it was too wide for the screen. It would have been like, you have a screen like this and it'll the tiny little strip in the middle, that would not have worked. Yeah, so pan and scan. And panning and scanning is what we're all doing all the time. We're all looking around, collecting data, collecting information. And my personal belief is that introduces a slight amount of fatigue. It's maybe it's imperceptible, but your job as a painter is not to introduce fatigue, not to make people work. Your job is to get your emotional impression, your artistry, an idea about that scene directly into the mind of the viewer, directly. Oh, we're thinking of some thumbnails. That's why we smile. See. I thought this is my studio sweat jacket, and it doesn't actually zip. But neither does my other one, so I thought, well, I'll change it up. Okay. Change it up. And we're warming up here. Spring is springing here. Spring hits a bit early here in New Zealand. Simplicity over complexity. So we're talking about composition. You always want to simplify. Make it as simple as you can. Big shapes that are in the right spot, painted with beautiful colors that are modulated, is going to make a beautiful painting. All the things that you think are going to add to that could add to it if the composition is sound. But if the composition is not right, it won't matter what you do. It don't matter how much you dress it up and how you pretty it up and how many virtuosic strokes you do, or how you got the light glinting off of this or that. But although I would say, don't become immobilized by this stuff. You do your best to work on your composition as you proceed along with all the other tons of stuff you've got to master to be a good painter. And that's we're doing this every week. In fact, I'm determined to do it every week because I've had to do this a couple times now, but I'm going to get it done for you. I'm glad to see the camera's focusing today. That's very nice. Thank you, camera. I had some pretty detailed paintings back there and was focusing on those, but I can see it's following my eye now. That's good. Okay. Simplicity over complexity. And we did just connect out with the big shapes. And nature provides inspiration, not blueprints. And we'll get into that when we get into this. I'll do a little video. Maybe that'll be Sunday's video, instead of just putting up one of my regular paintings or whatever. I'll do a little teachy video for everybody. Maybe that'd be nice. Also, those can look really cool. I'm thinking about my approach, because I'm thinking one thing that might be neat. Instead of getting my roller out, just get a brush and go. Right? You can do 2 on each page. And then get a little square and draw a little rectangle, and then do my little study in there. I'm going to do a bunch of those, so that's going to happen for you. It's going to be really cool. Sunday. Yes, inspiration, not blueprints. So I'm a big believer in reference, especially, when you're starting out. By the chapter, this is all actually one of the whole reasons for the Easel Talks. It's just not to pump up my book, but I gotta talk about what I'm doing. How else are you gonna know it's existing? And internal compositions is a chapter in my new book, and no doubt will have its own Easel Talk coming up. But we can touch on it here because I don't mind.
You could buy the book, landscapepainter.co.nz. The book cost $65 US. Did you know?
So internal compositions is something that you definitely develop after doing a lot of landscape painting. When you first start out, you don't have a very good repertoire of all the different permeations of different design elements of the landscape and how they will impact the landscape. You can do a tree. I remember it's in the not article. It's in the chapter I wrote. When I first started out, I was a professional commercial illustrator making good money and doing some pretty slick art too. And I thought, well, I'll just do one out of my imagination. It's like a round tree. I had some grass, the side of a hill. I had beautiful textures and colors, but the composition was lame. And what I came up with out of my own head, it was lame. But I could do better now. It's all in the chapter. And I think it's better for me to have some sort of reference, some sort of thing to riff off of or play with that sparks my imagination. And then I think it's important to let imagination take over. And one of these talks got deleted or canceled. I was talking about my time as a student of Dennis Sheehan and his online academy. Which is like around 2013, and he was really taught me quite a lot. And it was online, so I never talked to Dennis personally, or even through the email. I think it was some part of his family putting it together, and I don't. It stopped, and but he doesn't like to work with photos, and there's good reasons for that, because he showed in one of his lessons, he showed a painting he'd made from a photo, and it was really tight compared to what he usually does, and he was like saying, look, here's the problem, but he was right, that is a problem, but it's a problem that can be overcome. And his solution was just to start swirling things on the canvas and then looking for these internal compositions to manifest, right? And he does a brilliant job with that. It works great for him, but it doesn't work great for me. I find that for me, things become too samey, and I'm already kind of into a bit of a samey thing anyway, because I like the same sorts of compositions. I got a tree here, some massive trees here, massive trees there, a pond, a path, a sky. Yes. Moving on. Every element. 4. Every element must earn its place in your composition. Only key things need to be in your painting. And actually, this talks about that. Moving on, just from nature providing inspiration, not blueprints, because that reference photo is just inspiration. I think I have one. Yes, here. If I was actually, I think I haven't shared that on the channel, but we did a version of that painting a while back where I actually did share the reference, and I approached that painting different, where, I haven't grabbed a brush yet today. It's not an Easel Talk without a brush in hand. And you might go, where's the easel? The easel's right there. But if I film this way, I'm filming into the light, so it's not going to work. But we'll see. We got a lot of these to do. Anyway, here you see the space up in the middle there. That is actually, these two trees were like over here, and then that space was over here. So I totally changed everything. Oh, by the way, that got modified. You can see how from the last Easel Talk I had to get rid of an irritating bough. All right. So my point being that you look at that reference and say, maybe that works, maybe it doesn't, and do some of these little thumbnails I'm going to show you. In fact, if you're a painter starting out, I recommend you do that for every painting you do. Because here's the alternative: you can work out some little compositional sketches of your approach to that reference, or you can take your best stab at it, create a whole big painting. Which you may be happy with even at the time you did it, but 2-3 months down the road you start seeing things. You go, oh yeah, that doesn't look right. Oh yeah, that don't look right. Oh wow. And the things you're spotting are compositional things, right? Maybe you did a virtuosic job painting that, the trees going into the sky. Oh, you finally got it. It's right. But the composition was wrong. And so the painting's a failure. Yeah, I've been there, man. But you get up, you paint the next day. And one thing you could do, would be to work out this composition as a little sketches till you finally click with something. Go, yeah, that's going to do it. And then you can go in and make make all the other myriad mistakes that are involved with oil painting, or not mistakes, but challenges. How about that? Yeah. Okay, moving on. We're still on 4. Every element must earn its place. That is our compositional concept that we are discussing. So only key things in your painting, and everything. If there's bits and bobs in the, like here's a good one, rocks. Maybe you're painting a scene with a bunch of rocks that are in a field around the path, or it's a beach scene like that. Almost always when I'm working on that kind of scene, there's way more rocks in the reference than I want in my painting. And where you put those rocks it has got to be strategic. It's got to be composed. Yes. Okay. Only the key rocks. Only the key trees. Only clouds. Same thing, man. You can't have like a sky with 20 little fluffy round clouds in it, You have to some big masses, smaller masses, and they're all working against each other. The composition thing, that's the other thing. Maybe you don't feel like you're a designer. You go, no, I'm not a designer. So and so is a designer, but I struggle. Well, yeah, you're going to struggle with design until you hunker down and start working on it. And you don't know if you're a designer or not. I know what I'm talking about here because back when I was a professional graphic artist, I was an illustrator. I worked with a designer. And then every now and again he would leave. He'd go on vacation or something. Guess what? I had to design. And I didn't work as quick as he did, but I got the designs done. And I taught myself how to design things. And I've taught myself how to design landscape paintings. And every landscape painting must be designed. Every work of art you do. And it's just a process. This is it. Last thing I'm going to say on that score. Well, you're not going to shut me up. I'm going to keep talking. But you have an internal design you can't escape. And everything you do reflects that. This is one of the most important things that I have to say in this video. Every work of art you do, you can't escape the uniqueness in it. That's why you don't need to worry about being original. You just need to worry about creating work. And if you create enough of it, it will start to gel and come around, that unique occurrence in the universe that you are. And that's what the appropriate use of art is to express that. Okay, and it happens. So just cool it with any negative belief you have about yourself or your process. I can't design. I can't mix colors. I can't do composition. You don't need any of that. Acknowledge that it's an area where you are challenged, and start addressing it, and not in a stressful way. Because why would we want to stress about anything related to making pictures? The world does not need more pictures. It didn't need more pictures before the AI came on board, and now with the AI on board, there's more pictures than I just saw. It had a whole page of any art style you could ever see, and it says, pick your style, upload your photo. Here's your art, right? That's real. And in the face of that, we could say, why even make art? Well, again, before all of this was available, the world didn't need art anyway. But we need your art, and you need to make art. You need to express yourself, and you can do it. And it is really one of the best feelings. There's a good reason right there. It's the best feeling to know that you're moving along, you're progressing, and that what you feel inside, that response to the great art you've seen, is that you are actually getting better, and that you at some point may be a master as well. That's awesome. Okay, 5. Yes. Did I just? Every element must earn its place. I don't want to get ahead. I'm getting ahead. Taking charge versus... Yeah, we talked about that. My challenge with the concept, backing up, the every element, my challenge with you is to figure out what when you're looking at that reference, how much can I eliminate and still get across what? So when you looked at that reference photo and you thought that could be a painting, you need to hone in on that. What is it that you were responding to? And everything else that's in that reference photo just needs to be completely subsumed. It needs to go away. So I challenge you to start working on that. Okay? Challenge. We're friends. We're friends. I'm not going to hurt you. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to do that one. I don't get what that's all about. Okay, we're going to jump to 5 because we're running out of time here. We're almost at 30 minutes. 5. Create breathing space and flow in your composition. So, along with the simplification of complexity, along with everything needing to earn its place, everything needs to have a space to breathe, okay? And that's going to be easier when you start eliminating things that don't need to be there. That's definitely going to be easier. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about some compositional devices. So, along with letting everything breathe, like for me, this is really key. And I mean, I could talk about it, but you have to develop your own sensitivity to it. You go back, I got a playlist for 2015. If you want to look at one of the ways that a lot of my paintings failed, I had this idea. I had 2 stupid ideas, actually. I'm fairly new in town, and this is kind of an economically depressed area. So I thought, well, I'll just do 5x7s and 8x10s. I'll do a 5x7 study, and then I'll make a 8x10 painting. And on one hand, yes, that was good because I did a lot of paintings. On the other hand, yeah, you could do any painting of any size in any market and have it sell. So that was an incorrect idea I had. But a lot of times I find that the reference or the subject I had worked out well for the 5x7, but when it came to the 8x10, I had a really stupid idea. And that was like, I'll just add sky to the top. I'll just do the whole rest of the scene, just more sky. Huh? Problem solved. No, wrong. Terrible paintings. Terrible paintings ensued. That's talking about this breathing space and flow. The amount of space between the top of the tree and the sky is one of the most critical parts of your painting. I'm not saying become immobilized by making this decision, but sensitize yourself to it and try different things. And you'll see, when I have an appropriate amount of space between the edge of the frame and the top of the tree, it's wonderful. If it's too close or crowded, that feels bad. If there's too much, that feels like you're swamped. And these feelings are what painting is all about. Yeah. So that would be, of course, another Easel Talk. I could talk about that all day. Yeah. Okay, because compositional devices at work, S-curves, the old steel yard. The steel yard is very popular for me. I don't know if you can see this one. That's kind of a steel yard. Very tiny shape there, bigger shape. That's bigger mass, smaller mass, balance, kind of like a seesaw kind of thing, right? That's the steel yard. I love the steel yard. Oh yeah, I got my book here. Now I want to talk to you about the book because the book's still for sale. But if you go to my site, you won't be able to order it because the post office here can't figure out what to do with the U.S. thing right now. I keep checking every day though, and I'll let you know. There'll be a big announcement on the channel when it's fine to. By the way, I wanted to bring this up. This is a little bit. Oh, come on now. Okay, remember I was talking about the stained glass thing. That's a little divided. But think about that principle, in really big shapes. And that would be when we're talking about dividing the picture plane. And I wanted to bring up the chapter on the composition. So yeah, I'm working on the new book is written. It's going to come out in two forms. One is going to be like a PDF, like an EPUB, so you can just read it. That'll be reasonable. And then it won't be like this, but it will have illustrations like this with the text. Yeah. Okay, so in this is my last book. This is the section of composition. I have the Steelyard. I have the 1/3 foreground, river or road, L. I do the L all the time. The S and the mass groups. There's a lot of these, and this gets into Edgar Payne. Is it Edgar Payne? Yeah. Composition landscape painting on the channel. You'll see I did a review of that, and you should check that out. Get that book. It will help you. It won't solve all your problems, though. Okay. So I like paths. I think they're great. They help resolve this stagnant sort of foreground issue you can have where there's nothing going on in the foreground. You can have a path which helps lead the eye into the painting, and I'm frankly addicted to it. I need to go to Path Painters Anonymous and get help. Yeah, that's what my assistant said. Your lead-in path formula approach. It's a bit of a formula. And yeah, I got another chapter about that. Formulas in landscape painting. I won't go too much into it because we need to save. We're going to have to do one of these every week. So we got to keep stuff for it. But there's always going to be overlap. That's one of the things too about this new book. Each thing ties into the other thing, but I try to bring one aspect into focus and give you my thoughts about it. You know, because painting is what occurred to me is like painting is so vast. But it's not infinite. You can actually break it down, and that's what I've done in 4 volumes. All right. Oh, yeah. So we'll just touch on the formula thing. I don't worry about being original. We touched on that earlier. Worry about being you. Worry about working a lot. And if you just do those 2 things, just make some art every day. If you made some art every day, whether simple or complicated, over time you will develop into something amazing. It's just inevitable. So, and you'll have a good feeling in your life that you can build on, as opposed to the feeling you have when you just fritter your time away on YouTube or with the phone or whatever. And hey, I've watched plenty of YouTube myself, no question about that. Oh, we're moving into, we got to wrap this up. Closing, the emotional core. Composition as emotional composition. We touched on that. And it is the primary way. So the analogy I like to use is because I do music as well. And the way that I write songs is that, just making sure I'm in focus. So some people come up with a melody and then they come up with some chords, you know, or maybe they're strumming a guitar and they start singing. For me, I come up with chord progressions, and the chord progression to me is like the underpinning, the emotional underpinning of the song. Everything that the song is grows out of that. And my approach to landscape painting is the same. I work with the big masses, the big shapes, and then we decorate those with various things, you know. But the whole movement, the whole feeling of the painting is in those values and in that composition. And values, of course, would be its own talk later on, yeah. But composition as emotional communication is a very important idea, and you just have to play with that. You have to look inside and do some work, and then, you know, and it's not like I ever sit there and I don't have a dialogue and like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, you know. But this is what's going on. I've slowed it down so I can communicate it to you to help you try and improve. That's what's going on there. But never feel like with any of this stuff that you need to seize up on any of it. Just let this information wash over you. Grab onto 1 or 2 things and use those in your daily process. Yeah. Separation between good and great artists. Yeah. It takes some work to get to a good level. That takes a lot of work. To great, That's why I make that face. I'm working on it. I'm trying. It's not really for me to say at the end of the day. I believe art history will be the final arbiter of that. But you know when you're doing really good work, and you know when you're failing, and you'll be failing, by the way, throughout the whole process. So don't believe there ever come a time where you won't fail at all. What happens is you fail less. That's what happens, and that's great, because none of us likes making bad paintings. No one likes to fail. But failure is part of the process. You need to embrace it. Yeah, my personal failures are almost always compositional. Even now, right? But when you do fail, what I want to say is, like, if you spot it later, then you've won. You've actually won, because you won't do that again. And that's why I'm saying do more paintings, because you'll fail more and then you'll be more successful. That's how it works, really. We talked about that. Breaking rules. Yeah, don't break the rules till you understand the rules. They say, well, I can do whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. I'm the painter. Bob Ross said, it's your world. You can do whatever you want. Yeah, well, how many bad paintings did he spawn? And I love Bob. I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Bob Ross fan. I even like a lot of his paintings. But he spawned a lot of bad art. I mean, come on. Here we are at the end. Remember I said there was only one rule. You can't break, laddie. There's only one rule you can't break. Don't paint two pictures on one panel. Or canvas, as the case may be. I've seen it. It's like the total amateur move. Everyone's doing it all the time. They don't realize it until later. But if you get back to our very first principle, which was establish your focal point or focal area, then you won't do this as much. Okay, that's usually what happens when if you got too many things going on. Yeah. So let's recap real quick and get out of here, because I know you're probably ready to move on. Five core concepts. That's number one. I can use this for the one. Establish your focal area, your place of interest. 2. Master the art of division, dividing the picture plane. 3. Respect the viewer's mind and their eyes and how they're moving through your space you created. Have a care about it. We can't always know. We don't really know how people's eyes move around, but even thinking about your ideas about it is valuable, okay, because it will improve your paintings. Yes. Every element must earn its place. It's number 4. 5. Create breathing space and flow. Make sure you're not crowding things, This is, a lot of times people just jump in, they start working, and they run out of room. Oh, leave a little space at the top between the edge of the frame and the tree. Take that tree right off, okay? Just do us all a favor. Yeah, and so composition is the emotional core of your painting, and I hope this talk helped you. Now, how can you help support Uncle Mike? We touched on that earlier. Supplies page, that's good. You can join the YouTube members area here. I got to get better I got to put the links back for that, because the YouTube members area has got hundreds and hundreds of videos of real time me painting, and it's valuable. And then there's absolute nuggets of pure gold in there too. And one of the things I liked about first of all, I respond to Substack because it's a brilliant platform which you can have text, you can have videos, you can have pictures, or even sound files. You can do it all, and then it gets emailed to people that are interested, instead of like with the YouTube thing. It's like, well, if you haven't watched one of my videos for a month or two, it's not going to put my stuff in front of you. And maybe you didn't even intend not to watch my videos. It's just like you moved on to something else. That's what happens. I'm not mad. But if you also join my mailing list, if you join my mailing list, I'll add you to Substack. Or if you join my Substack, then I keep track of that as part of my mailing list. And I've been keeping the mailing list going forever. And then it's like, well, I don't want to hassle people, like I got a project or something I want to sell or whatever. Well, I should do something. It's like, but what I love about this is like this total flow. Like, you want information about painting? Well, here it is. If you want the mic take, it shows up in your email box and go, oh, that's interesting. I want to maybe watch that. Or you go, no, I'm real busy. I don't really care. It's all good. But either way, you're being made aware of it. And I think that's totally valuable. And that's why I'm pimping my Substack, yo. Yeah. Anyway, like, comment, and I appreciate you. And I hope this video turns out well. And until we come back, take good care. Stay out of trouble.
Did you know you could buy the book landscapepainter.co.nz? The book cost $65 US. Did you know?